All right, let's dive into a really fascinating corner of our own psychology. We're going to talk about a strange mental echo that was created by, you guessed it, one of the most famous video games of all time.
I mean, if you've ever spent hours and hours fitting those little colorful blocks together, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You finally put the game down, you close your eyes, you're trying to sleep, and there they are, still falling. So what on earth is actually going on inside our heads when that happens?
Yep, it all comes back to this one iconic game. The relentless, pattern-based puzzle solving does something really unique to our brains, something that sticks around long after we've put the controller down for the night.
And it actually has a name. It's called the Tetris Effect. It's this incredible sort of mental bleed-through where the logic and the visuals of something you've been doing for a while start to impose themselves onto your view of the real world.
And this is where it gets kind of wild. It's not just about seeing blocks when you close your eyes. You might find yourself walking down the street and mentally rotating cars to fit perfectly into parking spaces. Or you're looking at groceries in a bag and you instinctively start trying to organize them into these perfect, gapless rows. It's like your brain is literally still playing the game.
So, how does this actually work? Well, scientists have literally looked inside the brains of Tetris players, and what they found is just a brilliant illustration of how incredibly adaptive our brains are.
Just look at this difference in brain energy. When you first start playing, your brain's energy consumption, its glucose use, goes through the roof. It's working so hard to figure it all out. But, and this is the cool part, after just a few weeks of practice, even as your scores get way better, your brain's energy use drops way back down. It's not working harder, it's working smarter.
This right here is a perfect example of what we call neuroplasticity. Your brain is literally rewiring itself in response to this new task. It's building faster, more efficient neural highways just for processing these shapes and movements.
And we're not just talking figuratively here. These are real, measurable, physical changes. Studies have shown that dedicated players actually develop a thicker cortex in a specific brain region that's responsible for planning complex movements. At the same time, your visuospatial working memory. Think of it like your brain's mental sketchpad. It gets a serious upgrade, letting you track and rotate all those objects in your mind with way less effort.
Now, this next part really shows just how deep this learning goes. It's incredible. A famous study had people with a specific type of amnesia, where they couldn't form new conscious memories, play Tetris. Later, they said they were dreaming of falling blocks, even though they had absolutely no memory of ever playing the game. This proves the effect is being hardwired into our procedural memory. That's the part of our brain that learns how to do things, completely separate from our conscious mind.
Okay, so we know our brains physically adapt to the game. And that led researchers to a really incredible question. If Tetris can so powerfully occupy our brain's visual centers, could we actually use that for something else? Like, could we hack it?
And this is a huge claim, I know, but it's actually backed by some serious research. Playing Tetris shortly after a traumatic event has been shown to significantly reduce the number of intrusive flashback-style memories, which, are a hallmark of PTSD.
So here's how they think it works. A traumatic memory isn't like a file stored on a computer. It's actually kind of fragile for a short window right after you recall it. So by playing a visually demanding game like Tetris right at that moment, you're creating a resource competition in the brain. Your brain's visual processing power gets hijacked by all the falling blocks, which leaves fewer resources to resave or reconsolidate that traumatic image in its full, vivid, and painful intensity.
And the same logic applies to cravings. It's so cool. One study found that just 3 minutes of Tetris could significantly reduce cravings for things like food, nicotine, you name it. And look at this data. A drop from 70% down to 56% might not seem like a magic bullet, but in the real world, that is a big, noticeable effect.
And the reason this works is pretty simple, but brilliant. A craving almost always relies on you visualizing the thing you want. You're imagining the taste of that chocolate or what that cigarette would feel like. Tetris just floods that mental sketchpad with so much visual noise that it's way harder for those craving-related images to even form. The blocks literally get in the way of the craving.
Now, as you might imagine, while Tetris is the classic example, this whole phenomenon isn't limited to just one game. It's actually opened up a much broader field of study.
So, the Tetris effect is actually a subtype of a larger concept called game transfer phenomena, or GTP. And this covers any instance where experiences from a game bleed over into reality, whether that's seeing health bars over people's heads, hearing in-game sounds in the real world, or even having that split-second impulse to hit a button that isn't actually there to, rewind time. And this all brings us to a more profound idea. As the writer Jeffrey Goldsmith put it way back in 1994, maybe the Tetris effect isn't just some weird neurological quirk. Maybe it's a metaphor for a really fundamental human drive, that desire we all have to find patterns, to create order out of chaos, to organize, to build, and ultimately to understand our world.
So, that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. It might not be falling blocks for you. Maybe it's lines of code, or a musical melody you can't get out of your head, or maybe the grammar of a new language you're learning. What's the one thing you focus on so intently that it actually starts to reshape the way you see everything else?